Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be of a server banner, one that's really simple to make and should take you no longer than 5 minutes, and even less once you have the actual template, as you can just switch out characters as you see fit. Now this tutorial is going to be making up for the week that I missed, which was I believe the week before last. This tutorial has two different aspects to it. So there's this one where you have a character model in the center, kind of a full art version of the model, and then the other option is to have it like this. This background, you'd have seen it from a previous tutorial, and you drop a character model in the center. And even further from that, you can hide the character model, and you can possibly put some text right in the center, though it's up to you how you want to approach the center area. But the left and the right side, I believe, look great if you have a high quality model of your character, whether it be from a movie, TV show, or anime. So, without further ado, let's get into the tutorial. We're going to start off by creating a new file, 960 by 540. There we go. Let's drag that over. And we're going to delete the background because that is not necessary. And we're going to go ahead and grab our first model for our character, which is going to be the one that acts as our backgrounds. Now I am going to show you how to create both backgrounds, one being just the character and the other being the black grid-like shape. So we can go ahead and drop our character in, do Control T to resize it. Go ahead and drag that down. Now we'll leave it just like this until we actually get our left and right sections in, because it's kind of hard to figure out how it's going to look just yet. Go ahead and group that, and we'll call this the base. We'll call this the full frame model, and we can make that green. Next thing we're going to do is create a new layer. Go ahead and drag it out of the base folder. Hide that. We can go ahead and make this orange, do Control G, make sure it's all orange, and we'll call this the left side. We're going to go over to our pen tool right over here, and the way we're going to want to do this is have the center be right at the center of the actual frame, just so this is an even triangular shape. Now there are a couple ways you can make sure you're at the center. One is by creating a 1 pixel high line. Go ahead and resize that. There we go. Just like so. Check mark. I'm going to center it. There we go. And that's one way of doing it, or you can use guides with the, I believe, view, new guide, and you can indicate whether you want a vertical or horizontal guide, and you can organize it like that. And that's probably the more professional way of doing it, but I tend to go this route just because that's how I learned it, and it's a bad habit at this point. Okay, and now we can go ahead and duplicate this line because we need a second guiding line. This one we can put about here, and this is going to indicate to us where we're going to want to place the dots for the top and the bottom. So we're going to click right at the top of this line, just like so. Then we're going to click at the center, right about there, and then we're going to click back at the bottom. And this is going to create a perfect little triangle here because it's going to be even across the top section and even across the bottom section. Though I will undo this a second because I want mine to have a little bit of a sharper edge to it. Maybe a little bit sharper. There we go, and I'll come back to the bottom, and I'll click there. And now I can just click all the way around, holding shift as I do so the lines are straight. Doesn't really matter. Then I can do a make selection, shift F5, color, and we can just go ahead and make it black. Delete one ruler, delete a second ruler. And then once the shape has all the proper edits to it, we can go ahead and duplicate it to the other side, just to save us a bit of time. Now we can go ahead and start applying our layer styles. We're going to start off with a stroke. We're going to want to have this at 4. and 100. I'm going to go to our inner shadow. We're going to have this at 69 or 70 if you don't want to have the fun number. Then 27 and then 29. Okay, and then we're going to go to our drop shadow. We're going to make sure this is 74. This is at 180. This is 11, 0, and then 16. Then hit OK. Go ahead and name this the base. And we're going to be clipping two different things on top of this base layer. One is going to be our character model, and two is going to be our texture. So go ahead and grab the full art for the character you're going to be using, or you don't have to use characters. You can just use landscape scenery or photography, because while these banners are certainly made initially with animated characters, you can most definitely swap it out to just about anything else you can think of. Alright, I have my character model. I go ahead and clip. You can either right click, create clipping mask, or you can hold Alt in between the layers and then click. Make sure your character is centered as you want them. Go ahead and grab the following texture, drag it in, and make sure that is also clipped. We'll call this a texture. We're going to come over here, switch this to a linear burn, and bring the opacity down to 25%. And then we can adjust our character model a bit if we want to. You can either move it like that, or you can use the arrow keys with the move tool selected, and you can adjust them. Perfect. And then we're going to take the left side, do Control J, name this right side, do Control T. We're going to flip that, and we are going to drag it over. We're going to make sure it's not too far over, because as soon as we see the white, we've gone too far. So we go over 1, just so the white is hidden by 1 pixel. And we are going to have to make some adjustments here. So go into blending options, go into the drop shadow, and then flip that over to 0. So now it's going off to the left. Character model, delete that, and then go ahead and grab your second character model. In this case, I just dragged my character model in, and since I was on the layer, this layer right here, whatever I dragged in would be right above it, and right above it is a clipped layer, so it automatically becomes clipped. If it doesn't, just clip it, take less than a second. So this character is also now in frame, and we can move on to the last steps. If you're planning to have just another image in the center, just like this, you can do the following. First, make sure the character, if it's a character, is centered. There we go. Then go to Filter, Blur Gallery, Field Blur, and I like to give it about 3 to 4 pixels. Perfect. Actually, I need to increase the size a bit, because now it blurred the edges. And since it's already blurred, it's not going to matter. While increasing the size of the image does decrease the quality, we've already blurred it and we're only doing a slight increase, so it doesn't really matter. Check mark, make sure it is centered once again. Use my arrow keys. And we can also do an inner shadow for this. Blending options, inner shadow, we'll do 66, 90, 0, 29, and then 21. Great, and this is where you could stop for one part of the tutorial, if this is sufficient for you, and honestly it looks pretty good. You can just, this is the size that most people would see it at in your server, and you can see all the characters pretty well, and this is a great layout for that. If you want to go a step further, or maybe not even a step further, if you want to try something different, we can go ahead and create a new layer. Control G, make sure that's within the group, and we'll call this the dark section. Now make sure that you do hide the full frame model layer, because the dark section is below the full frame model layer, so it's not going to be able to appear unless you hide it. Alright, under your dark section, you're going to want to use the following color, 31, 31, 31. Hit OK. Go over to your paint bucket tool, drop that down, right click, blending options, inner shadow, and we're going to do 100, 90, 0, 23, and then 21. Hit OK, and we'll call this the base. Go ahead, hide that. Then you're going to want to drag these hexagons over, drop them in, put them at soft lights. Let's see, there we go, and bring the opacity down to 45%. After that, you're going to want to bring in the, where is it at? This texture, drop that in. And actually, we can go ahead and just drag everything in because it's all going to be used within the next couple minutes. So just make sure it's all clipped. There's not really any need to clip it, but I do like to keep the files organized. By clipping it, it helps indicate what it's going to, and it keeps your big projects fairly manageable. Alright, so go ahead and hide the chalkboard layer. Go to this one, we're going to put it as an overlay with 60% opacity. Re-show that layer. We're going to put this one as soft lights at 60% opacity. Go ahead and name this hexagons. We'll call this texture 1, and this one as texture 2. With that out the way, we can grab our character model. This case, this is the only one I had that was right in my folder. For you, it can be anything. Resize the character to fit the center of the frame. A bit smaller. That works. Then right click, blending options. I'm going to go to drop shadow. We're going to have this as 72, the angle as 39, distance as 13, 7 for the spread, and 10 for the size. And there we go. That really wraps up the tutorial. I have all the assets for you to download as always. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.